Fuck it, I'm gonna freestyle this one. Crank it up to 11, please. And I'm trying to get dirty with mom's spaghetti. I'm catching footballs and I'm thinking about mom's spaghetti. When Josh Allen reads me a play, it's mom's spaghetti. If I ever get to a Super Bowl, I'm gonna win a big bowl of mom's spaghetti. It's a Super Bowl of mom's spaghetti. Motherfucking spaghetti. Welcome back to another episode of Odd Man Sports here on YouTube. I'm your host, Brandon Perna. I'm also the host of That's Good Sports, also on YouTube. I'm also the owner of multiple Green Bay vacation rentals, which were bringing in steady revenue up until Aaron Rodgers decided to open his big fat mouth. And I don't know what he's talking about. Green Bay has it all. It's green, there's totally a bay, and 3 weeks a year, temperatures are almost in the 60s. What more could you want, Aaron? And don't say for the GM to not cut or trade your closest friends every year. All right, on today's show, I will reveal what's really going on with Carson Wentz's foot, the bad sports trend that Tom Brady may be responsible for, and how Amy Schumer is involved in the biggest sports gambling story absolutely no one is talking about. Dinks and Dunks. Modern athletes having their own brands and platforms and voices. The worst part of that, by far, is having to listen to their attempts at being funny.
We had a game in Chicago where I forgot what down it was. I lost track of one down in 21 years of playing, and they started calling me Sleepy Tom.
And perhaps, inspired by Tom, now other football players have started using their training camp pressers to test out new material, like it's Tuesday night at the Laugh Factory. And I don't think this helicopter bit is gonna make it into Keelan Cole's Netflix special.
Hold on, the helicopter's talking. Yeah. It's windy only because of you, though. So, I mean, if you want to be quiet so we can do this interview, that'd be great. Appreciate the helicopter.
Now look, I'm all for real comedians doing sports analysis like Olympic commentary Kevin Hart is doing on Peacock, but I'd cut off my own Peacock if it meant actual sports analysts like Kendrick Perkins would stop trying their hand at comedy like this.
We haven't seen a draft this athletic since Moby Dick was a goldfish, right?
Not terrible, aside from the fact that Moby Dick's a whale, not a fish. Now, have there been legitimately funny pro athletes? I'm sure there have, Peyton Manning, although none currently come to mind. Comment below on guys you think are legitimately funny, Peyton Manning. It's a short list because most of the athletes we think of as funny aren't actually funny. They just like to laugh. Take, for example, MLB players Lance McCullers and Brett Phillips.
I'm gonna tell you a story that's more tragic than Shakespeare right now.
Oh, this actually does sound promising.
I ordered Chipotle, okay? And I opened my Chipotle, and whoever delivered it, ate a bite of my Chipotle. Bro, it was so clear that they had opened it, and they just ate a bite of the top.
This is exactly why I'll never be on a network sports show. I literally don't have the facial muscles to convincingly fake laugh at stories like this. Maybe I can do the fake laughs. Turning to the Olympics, the biggest story coming out of Tokyo has been the decision by Simone Biles to pull out of multiple events because she was experiencing what was referred to as the twisties, which is apparently a term for when gymnasts lose spatial awareness while performing in the air. And while you won't catch me wading into the mental health debate, I do have one takeaway from this conversation. We absolutely need more fun nicknames like the Twisties for serious sports medical conditions. For example, Carson Wentz isn't sidelined 5 to 12 weeks with a broken foot. He's out with a footsie, and players are no longer ruled out due to concussion protocol. From now on, they've got a case of the Tweeties. Although I am realizing as I say this that this could be problematic for hand injuries. Patrick Mahomes won't be returning after he got a handy right before halftime. And finally, multiple NFL head coaches are voicing frustration with their players' unwillingness to get vaccinated. With Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer saying, "It is what it is," and Ron Rivera saying he was beyond frustrated after two more Washington players, receiver Curtis Samuel and defensive tackle Matt Ioannidis, were placed on the COVID-19 list. Said Rivera diplomatically about his players' hesitancy, "There is some deep thought going on from some of these guys." Which brings us to a new segment we're debuting, and it's not an SNL ripoff. NFL Deep Thoughts by Matt Ioannidis. They keep telling us to listen to the science, but how do I know the vaccine is safe? 'Cause the doctors say so? As a professional athlete, I think I know what's best for my mind and body. And that's slamming it into giant men over and over and over again until I can't remember the names of my own children. Speaking of the NFL and COVID, your favorite subject here, Cole Beasley, a man who refuses to get the Johnson & Johnson shot despite the fact that his rap album art is an image of a pair of testicles shackled to two Johnsons. Last week, Beasley used training camp to clear up some misunderstandings around his decision to not get vaccinated.
Is everybody ready? Alrighty. Alright. I wanted to start this off by saying I'm not anti or pro-vax. I'm pro-choice.
Where have I seen Cole Beasley at a mic reading prepared words off his phone like this before?
Cole Beasley out in stores now. Let's go, Beasley. Let's go.
My flow is pure gold. It's cold back on the microphone. Suck the life up out of a beat like it's lipo. Thought I was gone.
I do admit Cole Beasley is a pretty inspiring rapper. So much so, he inspired me to write my own Cole Beasley rap. Will the real Cole Beasley please stand up? I repeat, will the real Cole Beasley please stand up? We're gonna have a problem here. Y'all act like you never seen an anti-vaxxer before. When it comes to a cure, I'm spitting total horse manure. No, I don't go away like a human cold sore, 'cause now I'm in vogue like Anna Wintour. You get that reference? Money Talks. Last Thursday was the NBA Draft, the annual event where Adam Silver gets to show off how far his handshake game has come. And while the big surprises this year were Scotty Barnes going to the Raptors at number 4 and the Warriors picking Jonathan Kuminga at 7, it was the reaction to the Kuminga pick by Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo that caught me by surprise.
Russillo, you heard word that Kuminga was possibly the pick. You think this is a trade asset, or did they actually like him?
I do think they like him. I heard yesterday he was the pick.
Could have told me. I could have bet on it. Could have given me a tip. Jesus.
Now, they say the best way to find value in sports betting is to bet on what you know. Which is why, at least according to his wife, Evander Kane bets on Evander Kane's games and not Evander Holyfield's fights. And based on this aside, I'm getting the distinct feeling that Bill Simmons, one of the most plugged-in sports media guys, is maybe, just maybe, placing bets based on insider tips he gets from his sources. And the reason I suspect this is because he kind of just admitted it to his podcast audience. So while the rest of us are sweating the half point in the Browns-Bengals Sunday night game, the Boston sports guy might be letting that Spotify money ride on things he has good information on. Which, to use a Boston term, is wicked smart, but also wicked illegal. Because in December of 2018, Amy Schumer's uncle, Chuck, co-sponsored legislation that made it unlawful for a person to place or accept a bet on the basis of material non-public information. You know, the same thing that Martha Stewart did. Now look, do I want Bill Simmons to go to federal prison for insider sports betting? Only to emerge 5 months later forging an unlikely and admittedly endearing business empire with Snoop Dogg? Not really. My bigger takeaway here is finding an edge is the name of the game, by any means possible. And while gambling on outcomes you don't know will make the games more fun, betting on things you do know will make you more money. And now that you know this, here's the first insider bet you can place. Will I ever get hired by The Ringer? Odd Man Out! In basketball news, one of the most high-pressure free throws, maybe in history, was attempted over the weekend, and it wasn't even in a game.
Meanwhile, what a night at Jim Irsay's house. Tonight, the Colts owner played host to his former coach, Chuck Pagano, and his annual charity event, the Chuck Strong event that raises money for IU cancer research. Tonight, what we witnessed was unbelievable.
No, nobody took a bite out of Chuck Pagano's burrito. The unbelievable thing that happened? In true rich guy fashion, Jim Irsay sent Pagano, the coach he fired in 2017, to the free throw line at his house for one shot at $1 million. And this is what happened. That was a great moment. And while most people will revel in all the good that will come from Irsay's generous donation to Indiana University for Cancer Research, not me. All I've been thinking about for days is what would have happened if Chuck missed, which based on that trajectory was like a 50-50 chance. Might advancements in treatment or even the potential cure be delayed? Could lives be unnecessarily lost because of this literal sick challenge? And since we're going down this morbid path, don't be scared, I'll be your spirit guide here. If you watched last week's show, you know Jim Irsay also just spent a cool $1 million on Elton John's touring piano just so he could presumably sing this. So hold me closer, Tony Dungy. Now, I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, and I certainly don't want to criticize anyone for giving to charitable causes. But when I anonymously gave $1 million to the Guthrie Cancer Center in upstate New York, I did it gladly, because it was the right thing to do. And I sure as hell didn't tie it to former Bills coach Rex Ryan kicking an extra point or keeping a hula hoop up in the air for 30 seconds. Though now that I see the visual, I kinda wish I had. Alright, that's it for today, so see you next week, by which time hopefully my feelings on new Colts QB Jacob Eason will have sorted out. Yikes!